Okay guys, let's take a start. We are going to do something challenging that is called IELTS reading. Okay? There are 2 to 3 things which you need to notice very carefully. The first thing is you have to be with me. If I am on the first paragraph of the passage, line number 5, you have to be there. So wherever I am, you have to be there. When I read the question, you read the question. It's not that I read the question and you're reading the passage. We don't have any race. We are not running any race. And we will do IELTS reading in a very relaxed, easy-going mode. Okay, very relaxed. The way I'm cleaning my glasses. Okay, in a very relaxed way so that you understand each and everything. Okay, so let's take a start. Whenever you start your reading, first of all, you are going to read the title of the passage and switch on your imagination. Why do we need to protect polar bears? Now, polar bear doesn't mean bhola khalu. Bear is bhalu. Bhalu is reach. And polar is Barfani rich. You know, sometimes we have nickname, oh, aa gaya Barfani rich. Yes, someone who is fair in complexion and we are jealous of that person and we say, oh, aa gaya Barfani rich. So, why do we need to protect? Means reasons. Why do we have to protect the polar bears? It means polar bear is an endangered species. You know endangered species? The species that is going to die out. Few are left. They are very close to extinction. Right? So why do we need to protect? Now I want you to imagine beautiful snow-capped mountains. Mountains full of snow and then white bear moving on those mountains. You will understand things better. So in reading, because in actual IELTS exam there will be pin drop silence, so you can easily visualize. And your head will be down when you're solving the reading test. You can visualize each and everything. Okay? After reading the title, and visualizing whatever is in the passage, you can go on to questions. Now listen, in IELTS reading part 1, in IELTS reading, throughout IELTS reading, we have 2 types of questions. I have classified these 2 types of questions as type A and type B. Type A questions are those where questions and answers are in order. And type B questions are those where questions and answers are not in order. And I will tell you which is type A, which is type B, and you should know as well that this is type A, this is type B. Whenever you start any passage, always try to prefer type A questions first and type B questions last. Type A first, type B last. Last means, for example, you're doing section 1. In section 1, you have 1 type B question and 2 sets of type A questions. So first do 2 sets of type A questions, then do type B questions, and then move on to the next passage. This is how you need to understand that, okay? Another thing, those who have weak English, that they read English and they don't understand. Because you know, we can read English, no problem. We can read English, but what we read, sometimes we don't understand. After reading a passage, we say, kenda ki? Okay, because we don't understand. So for those, I recommend Cambridge IELTS book number 1, academic reading. There will be around 6 passages. You should read and translate them. For example, once upon a time, translate into your native language. There was a crow, translate into your native language. So once you translate book 1, Cambridge IELTS book 1, along with the mobile. You have a mobile, difficult word, underline the word. Type the word, the meaning, okay, write the meaning there, translate that. So through translation, although I'm not in favor of translation, but unfortunately this is how you guys acquired English language. So still your brain understands when you translate a language. So try to translate only book 1, that will give you good understanding of language and all that, and then start with normal IELTS passages and you will understand them. Okay, now we start. Questions 1 to 7, true, false, not given. True, false, not given. So please, you can write it. This is type A questions. What is type A? Questions and answers are in order. And by the way, this is the tip for part 1 for all of you. If in part 1, the first question type is type A, the answers will be in first or second paragraphs. Clear? Answers will start coming from first or second paragraphs, and all the answers will come together. So the first 7 questions can be completed easily without any problem. Okay, now let's see what is true, false, not given. They will give you some statements, and these statements are questions. You have to match these statements with the passage, information given in the passage. If the statement matches exactly, the answer is true. If the statement contradicts the passage, the answer is false. And if they don't give that specific information, the answer is not given. Now, important point. Within the statement, you will find a word or a phrase. Phrase is a group of words. Within the question, you will find a word. I will tell you about all these things, okay? You will find a word or a phrase which is going to decide whether the statement is true, false, or not given. And you have to identify that word or that phrase. I'll tell you how to do that, okay? So once you catch that phrase, then you understand if it is this, it's true. If it is that, it's false. And if it is neither this nor that, then it is not given, okay? Now, we read question number 1. Polar bears suffer from various health problems due to the buildup of fat under their skin. Now look here. You can convert the sentence into 3 parts. If polar bear suffer from different health problems due to buildup of fat under their skin, answer is true. If polar bear have fat on their skin, but they do not suffer from problems, then the answer is false. And if they don't tell us whether polar bears suffer from any health problem because of the fat or not, then the answer is not given. Now, one thing. Another thing, all the questions that belong to type 1, type A. Type A is questions and answers are in order. There, within the question, you have to find a clue word. Now, can you guys see the word fat? Okay, fat is your clue word. Let's go back and look for the word fat. Fat or skin. Skin is another clue word. Look for the word fat or skin. Okay, now please listen. This looking for a certain word in the paragraph is called scanning. What do we call it? Scanning. When you scan, you don't read. You only search. For example, you are looking for the word fat skin, fat skin, fat skin. So your eyes don't read. You don't read when you scan. You only search where is the word fat, where is the word skin, and you found the word. On the other hand, the second important reading skill is called skimming. We need skimming for list of headings. There are certain type of questions where you need skimming. So almost for all type of questions, you need scanning. For some type of questions, you need skimming. For every question, you need careful reading. Without careful reading, you cannot find the answer. Scanning will take you to the part of the passage where there is the answer. And that is your target number 1. Target number 1 is I am in the right paragraph, right line of the passage which is related to the question. Now please come back. Question I repeat. Polar bears suffer from various health problems due to buildup of fat under their skin. Now, third line. Everyone there? One reason for this is that they have up to 11 centimeters of fat. Are you with me? Yes? Good. First paragraph, third line from the middle. So one reason for this is that they have up to 11 centimeters of fat underneath their skin. Humans with comparative levels of adipose tissues would be considered obese and would be likely to suffer from diabetes and heart attack. Who? Human. It's not about bear. Now let's read on. Yet, the polar bear experiences no such consequences. Means polar bear doesn't have any problem with the fat. So polar bears suffer from various health problems due to the build of fat under their skin. Answer is false. Because human will suffer from problems. Polar bear does not suffer from any problem. That is why answer is false. Clear? Okay, so if you do it all logically with good understanding, step by step, test after test, your reading will improve. Again, I'm telling you, reading is complicated, no doubt. Sometimes it becomes overly complicated, but if you practice, you're gonna be fine. In my whole career, around 5 to 10 students got 9 in reading, academic reading. Just 9 to 10, like 5 to 10 students, okay? Otherwise, 7, 7.5 is common. Now, let's go on. Question number 2. Study done by Liu and his colleagues. What's the clue word? Liu. And do one thing. When you read the question, first time, don't read the question carefully. This is for time management. Because in Ielts reading, time management is very serious thing. For time management, first time, skim the question. Skim the question means you need to find clue word. Now, what's the clue word here? Liu. And some clue words are not changed at all. Now, Liu is name, so it will not be changed. Look for the word Liu. Found it? Xi Ping Liu. You know, I can speak Chinese. Xi Ping Liu. Chinese. Okay? Yeah. So, anyways, second paragraph. So, do this thing. Skim read the question. Find the clue word. Locate the paragraph and line of the passage which is related to that. Now we read the question carefully. Because in academic reading as well as in gender training reading, questions are quite complicated. You read it once, after few seconds you go back to the passage and the question flies away. Then you go back to the question. So it's a good idea, skim reading, finding the word there in the passage, and now we read. The study done by Liu and his colleagues compared different groups of polar bear. Now look here. Different groups of polar bear. If they compared different groups of polar bear, answer is true. If they compared same groups, not different groups, groups were same, then the answer is false. And if they don't tell us, comparison they tell us, but they don't tell us comparison was among different groups or same groups, then the answer is not given. So this thing, different groups of polar bears will decide the answer as true, false, or not given. I'm reading it from there. Second paragraph after first sentence. They compared, found it? They compared the genetic structure of polar bears with that of their closest relatives from a warmer climate, the brown bears. Okay, brown bears and polar bears. Right? So polar bears are the white bears and brown bears are the normal one. Now brown bears are not polar bears. Do you understand? Brown bears are the bears that live in other pieces of land without snow. Polar bears are the ones that live in snow. Okay? So warmer climate, the brown bears. Come back. The study done by Liu and his colleagues compared different groups of polar bears. Different groups of polar bears. They were not different groups of polar bear. One group was polar bear, other was brown bear. So the answer is false. Try to understand. Different groups of polar bears. For example, let's assume you are polar bears. Just for understanding. You are all polar bears, right? Different groups of polar bears means one group, sare chitte. Second group, sare chitte. But he said brown bear. Now, brown bear and polar bear, they are different. Read it again. Different groups of polar bears. No. They were not different groups of polar bear. They were polar bear and brown bears. So, the answer is contradictory. In the passage, information is contradictory, yet the answer is false. अभी नहीं समझ आया, घर जाके समझ आ जाएगा. Okay, don't worry. Try to understand. Why not? See, I mean, in Ielts reading, there is no possibility. It's not like that, okay? ये भी तो कह सकते हैं. Why can we say that? When they gave us the comparison, come back, they use the word, they compared. They compared means comparison is given. If comparison is not given, then you can say not given. And one thing more, if you are confused, it's only your fault. Ielts reading is very, very clear. Questions, passage, answers, everything is crystal clear for the readers, right? So if you think, why not given, I think they did not say that. It's because of your own understanding, right? So the correct answer is false. Now, come back. Question number 3. Liu and colleagues were the first researchers. Underline the word first researchers. Now this word first, researchers, in true false not given whenever they use the word first. If these researchers were first, answer is true. If these researchers were second, third, fourth, fifth, answer is false. And if they don't tell us whether they were the first one, second, third, fourth, then the answer is not given. And again I'm telling you, whenever you read the question, you should know this. If it is this, it's true. If it is that, it is false. If neither this, not that, then it is going to be not given. Okay? Now we go back. First, researchers. Same paragraph. I'm reading it from fourth line after full stop. Found it? Liu and his colleagues found the polar bears had a gene known as APOB, which reduces level of low density lipoproteins, a form of bad cholesterol. Right? Did they mention anything that they were first researchers or second researchers? In the beginning also they said they did the research, they compared. Now the word first, second, third, last, is it mentioned? Nowhere. So the answer is not given. Because first, second, third is not given. For example, if they mention anywhere, like they were the first ones, or for first one they use the word pioneers. Right? Yeah. Okay, now let's go on. Question number 4. Polar bears are able to control their level of bad cholesterol by genetic means. Look here. Look here. Look here. Polar bears are able to control. If they are able to control their bad cholesterol themselves, then the answer is true. If they cannot control the bad cholesterol, answer is false. And if they don't tell us whether polar bears can control their bad cholesterol or not, then the answer is not given. Now let's go back. I'm reading this third last line. APOB, they said Liu and his colleagues found the polar bears had a gene known as APOB. Everyone there? Which reduces level of low density lipoproteins, a form of bad cholesterol. What does that mean? They have a gene which controls the bad cholesterol. What does it mean? It means polar bears can control their bad cholesterol. What is the sentence? Question number 4. Polar bears are able to control. How do they control? They have a gene. With the help of that gene, they control the level of bad cholesterol. So the answer is true. Okay. Question number 5. Female polar bears are able to survive for about 6 months without food. Very simple. Look here. If female polar bear is able to survive without food for 6 months, answer is true. If it is less than 6 months or more than 6 months, it is false. And if they don't tell us about female polar bear and survival without food, then the answer is not given. So let's go back. Female polar bear, find it. Female bears. See that? Third paragraph, and in the middle, female polar bears. Found it? Now listen, this is what we call scanning. If you guys are good at scanning, you will be good at time management also. And if you waste a lot of time here and there looking for, because you know, questions and answers are going in sequence. We started from first paragraph, then second paragraph. Now with some space, we've come to third paragraph. Now let's see, let's look for that. I'm reading it from here. Female polar bear, however, undergoes extreme conditions. I leave this line, come to next line. Now I'm skim reading. Once autumn comes around, these females will dig. Okay, I go on. Next line. This process results in, now please read carefully. This process, okay, I'm reading it from the previous line. Once autumn comes around, found it? Once autumn comes around, these females will dig maternity dens in the snow and will remain there throughout the winter, both before and after the birth of their cubs. This process results in about 6 months of fasting, where the female bears have to keep themselves and their cubs alive. 6 months of fasting. Come back. Female polar bears are able to survive for about 6 months without food. Without food means fasting, right? And for about 6 months. Now for about 6 months, they use the word about 6 months. So the answer is true. Got it? Every time you understand logically why true, why false, why not given, you are learning, right? When you are very clear about it. Okay, let's go on. Question number 6. It was found that the bones of female polar bears were very weak when they came out of their dens in spring. Look here. When they came out of their dens in spring, if their bones were weak, answer is true. If their bones were still strong, answer is false. And if they don't tell us whether the bones are weak or strong, then not given. So let's go back and we see when they come out of their dens, same paragraph, 6 months of fasting. Last line, despite this, their bones remained strong and dense. See that? Despite this, their bones remained strong and dense. Means false. They say they were very weak. So opposite of very weak is remain strong and dense. Okay? Good. Answer will be false. Last question. 7. The polar bear's mechanism for increasing bone density could also be used by people one day. Future. Right? This type of thing can be used by people one day. The polar bear's mechanism for increasing bone density could also be used by people one day. Last paragraph of the same thing. Mechanism. The word mechanism is your clue word. Found it? Okay. So please follow me. I'm going to read it from third last line, last 2 words. If the mechanism. Everyone there? Okay. Now please follow me. If the mechanism of bone remodeling in polar bears can be understood, many bedridden humans and even astronauts could potentially benefit. Could potentially benefit. Potentially benefit means they may benefit in the time to come, in the future. So what's the question? The polar bear mechanism for increasing bones density could also be used by people one day. Now what is the language for by people one day? Potentially benefit. What is the answer? True. Absolutely.